Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started. The Living Artist Podcast is brought to you by Beanie. Yes, I'm only partially joking. Ice Beanie is not a sponsor of this podcast, unless you want to be, if you're listening, Ice Beanie. But my wife got me this wonderful thing called an Ice Beanie, which is, a lot of cancer patients use it, but it's really good for neuroinflammation. I'm having a lot of neuroinflammation right now, so I put this on and it kind of confuses my brain and freezes my brain a little bit. So I get a little window of time where I'm kind of able to talk and have a little bit of relief. So I'm going to get this podcast out same day, same morning, because it was a little chaotic. We're going to try not to do this with any edits because, it's just not a lot of time to do so. But I thought I would talk about being prepared for anything as an artist, especially when it comes to your business and shipping your art and packaging your art and being ready for collectors and being ready for sales. I just want to start with some real life things that happened, ripped from the headlines. And that was this last weekend. I actually got 3 sales. I pulled a hat trick. I got 3 sales, one on Artfinder, one on Zatista, and one on Saatchi to a repeat collector. And we're just going to kind of go through that a little bit because there's a lot of little lessons in here for anybody. And of course, the first way of being prepared for me is with having like late stage neurological Lyme disease. I never know how I'm going to be, and I'm always pretty bad. So I have to be even more prepared, and I have to lean on my wife. So first of all, big shout out to my wife for not only providing me with this Ice Beanie, but also for helping me really get these artworks packaged and shipped out, because I really could not have done it. I literally could not have done it without her, and having her help and being able to kind of direct her a little bit and have her be able to drop off these paintings for me. So that was wonderful. But being prepared, what does that mean in general? Well, part of what I'm doing is I have a lot of stuff recently because I haven't been able to paint recently because of what I'm going through, but I've been able to kind of repackage some art and put old art pieces into frames and things like that so I can, get them out to the public. And it's been effective. And I've had some sales with some old pieces that I love that I think just needed a little bit more exposure in the recent years. So I put some of the older pieces that I love into frames and put them out online. And I've managed to sell a few of those pieces and to happy collectors. And I think they look great. One of the things that I had was having some of these frames on hand. And I shipped one to Artfinder with this frame that I had. And part of the deal with these frames is you never 100% know how things are going to go. So you have to be able to be prepared to solve problems in real time. So the first thing of being prepared is not only having the frames, not only having the materials on hand, especially when you have a condition like I have, you have to be ready with extra preparation and materials because you might not even be able to do it yourself, let alone go out and scramble and find materials. So I try to have a lot of scraps on hand and a lot of materials on hand. So it's just right there at my fingertips. So I don't have to, add even more chaos to the whole process. Anyway, I go out there and I have this great white frame, but the painting fits in it perfectly, but it doesn't have the backing on it. So I have these little things that I do where I staple the piece into the frame in the back with a staple gun. And I have this great brown paper that I cover the back with, and I tape over it because it's a little flimsy otherwise. I tape over it so it's nice and hard and sturdy, and fold the edges on the end and staple those into the back of the frame so it has a nice cover on the back and looks like it was professionally framed. And then I put the wire over that into the frame so it also secures the piece in even a little bit more. And it looks great. And I was able to get that out and shipped out and do that with my wife. And I think it looks really wonderful, and I hope the collector's happy with it. I'm happy with it. And then I got another couple sales, and I was like, oh man, I can't handle these. But luckily we had some frames coming in, and we opened the box in the morning, getting ready to get this out. We're like, oh, we'll just get this out fast. You know, my wife was there. I was able to kind of direct her. But the moment the box was opened, I noticed that this frame that I've gotten at least 50 of these frames before with no problems. Well, the frame was broken. And if you're relying on something like that, like a lot of people rely on Amazon these days to deliver frames or another shipping service, and if you're relying on that frame to get out, if you have a 2-day window to ship out something like I do, 2-day window to, first of all, get the order, go and, put the piece in the frame and then ship it out, get it ready, get it packaged, get all this stuff done, you want to make sure that your frame is in good condition. So my first piece of advice would be to have extra frames on hand, which I always have at least one, probably 2 backup frames at any given time. Some of them are on other pieces, but I can just change those out, change the painting out, and, toggle those different frames and use whichever one I need for whichever piece that I've sold. So this piece was broken. This frame was broken, I should say. And it was great that we had another one on hand. One that we'd already purchased, and that one luckily was fine. But I also had a backup one on another painting that was ready to go if I needed to use it. So this was not a good start to the day, but then we get into the studio, which I checked on this painting before, but because of certain storage things, like I store my work very well, but I live in the valley and we are in this heat dome right now where there's just extreme humidity and heat. And one of the pieces that I have, it was a oil painting on plexiglass surface, and the heat over time had kind of heated up and warped the oil, especially this one color that seems to be very temperature sensitive, and it had heated it up and it got sticky. So a little bit of stuff stuck to it. Now we were able to get this off easily, luckily, but it had also warped a little bit of the paint, and there was a little bit of impurities in the paint. Now it wasn't terrible, but I am very picky about my art, and I didn't want to give this collector who bought multiple things from me, I didn't want to give them a substandard product. So I had to reach out, never got a response from the people that I was talking to, but I did all my stuff. That's another thing you have to be prepared for, is a slow turnaround time if there's a problem that you should have. So you should always have, a game plan in mind, which I did. So I just set about trying to fix the problem itself. And what I did is I came up with backup options for the collector. I put links to all those in the email. I reached out. So it's very easy to do. Same price, same value, same size. It was all the same stuff. And I gave the collector 3 different versions that they could pick from. And I know the style that this collector liked, so I also matched those up with the style. Now, I think that's great because it just makes it easy. If there's a problem, obviously you don't want to have problems, but I'm coming up on my 700th sale, and you're going to have some problems every once in a while. Not often, but you should be prepared for them. And so I had that all ready to go. Didn't hear back, but I think this will be settled today, hopefully, when I talk to the art marketplace. And hopefully this will be something that will be situated very quickly, and I can just kind of replace it. Boom. I was able to change the shipping time so that I'm able to get this out within a good time period still, even with a problem that occurred. So that's being prepared on another level with that right there. Broken frame, no problem. Have a backup frame. Heat problem warped the painting a little bit in a way that was not really seen until I put it out into the light. Okay, well, that's a problem. But I have a good rapport. I've established a good rapport with this collector, and I have backup options ready to go and a backup frame ready to go. So that's putting out another fire right there. Now, the third sale that I had was on another art marketplace, and we were dealing with some discount options and things like that. And of course, the sale went through right in the midst of all this chaos. And luckily, because this was actually of the same size, if you can believe, different material, different surface, but same size, I had to have the exact same type of frame ready to go. And luckily I had that other frame on another painting ready to go for this. We were able to get into the studio with my wife, very hot. I was able to kind of direct her and help her get this piece situated in the place. Now, I did something interesting with this piece, which is it was wood. So I put it into the frame. I also kind of staple it into the place so it doesn't move, and it makes sure it's secure in there. And I painted the backside black just for presentation. So it looks like the whole thing is black, nice, ready to go, with some little stoppers on the bottom so it doesn't damage the wall, and a nice wire hanging into there. This is a little tip as well if you're doing something like this. If you're working with a big piece of wood, which a lot of people do now, a lot of artists do, and you're putting a frame around it, well, you're not going to want to wire that into the frame itself because the painting itself is heavier than the frame. And if you put it on there over time, that weight, it's not very like load bearing some of these frames. So if you put it into the frame itself, that wood is going to be weighing down on the frame, and it could over time damage the frame or even break the frame. So what I do is I just screw these very durable U-brackets directly into the wood with two different screws. And so it's hanging on the wood itself, and then the frame just sits on it. It's very light. So even if the frame later on were to want to be changed by the collector, they still have a wire on the wood itself, so they can just hang the wood in case there's any problems. So that's another way of problem solving and looking down the road to see a potential problem that a collector might have and go, okay, well, this is something that's easy for them to change out. And if they want to just go without the frame, they can just do this. These are all ways that you can be prepared for different things. Be prepared in the studio. Be prepared to solve problems in real time. Have backup options always available. Be able to communicate, be able to solve problems in real time with something that might occur that you weren't prepared for at the time, but you have something on hand that's ready to go. You give options that are ready to go. So it's a very fluid situation where the collector can just go, okay, well, no problem. The artist was just looking out for my best interest. Because look, you don't want to be sending a piece to a person and just hope that they're not going to have a problem with something. If you have a problem with it, then you got to assume the collector is going to have a problem with it. I'm very anal when it comes to my work, and I don't want there to be a blemish or something that I notice. I don't like feeling like I sent a piece out that I know there's an issue with. I think collectors will appreciate that, especially if you're able to kind of explain that to them in a way that makes sense, because you're really doing it for their best interest as well. You want to have all the parties be happy, and even the art marketplace or the gallery that you're working with should be happy that you are trying to solve a problem. You have to first and foremost be happy with your work and value your work enough to know that, look, I'm not going to give somebody a substandard product. So I think everybody is going to be happy in the end, and we just put out a bunch of fires. Speaking of fires, this ice beanie is starting to get a little warmer, and my voice is starting to go. So I'm going to leave it at that, but I just wanted to get this one out to you quickly, and I wanted to give you some real-time, ripped from the headlines scenarios that happen with some sales. And thankfully, I'm getting some sales because I don't really have an option but to keep moving forward and keeping a roof over my head and over my artwork in my studio. Failure is not an option. Not selling is not an option. So I'm trying to do all these things, juggle all these things, and try to get well with this illness in the midst of trying to keep my art career afloat, which has been very difficult, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm not going to give up on my purpose. And that is also something that takes some preparation. So always prepare for these things. I'm not going to give up on my work. I'm not going to give up on my podcast. I'm going to do everything I can. Things like having this ice beanie around just to give you a little bit of a window of time where you can do something or record something. That is also being prepared. Hopefully this gave you some ideas on how you can be prepared with your own art and with certain things that can maybe some unforeseen problems that might occur and how you can solve those problems. I'm going to leave it at that. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Take care of yourselves. Take care of everybody else in your lives. And we'll see you next time on the next episode. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.